The restaurant, called Chez Toussaint, was French, high-end, and housed in one of the old Greek Revival buildings in the historic district owned by whaling captains in the 18th century. Inside was all modern, however, with hardwood floors and high ceilings. On the tables were white tablecloths and candles. There was also a large outdoor deck that had lights strung overhead. In all, the space was homey, yet romantic. The menu included duck confit, escargot, foie gras, lobster roe, lobster bisque, sweetbread, soft-shell crab, pan-roasted lobster, chicken livers, and various kinds of salads and sides such as ratatouille, polenta, spinach, risotto, and roasted asparagus. Sarah's mouth watered just reading the menu and wished she could take extra food home. She was no longer in her rebellious junk food mood and was once again looking forward to eating healthy and getting her body back into balance, so the salads and vegetable dishes particularly appealed. She hated leaving Bella alone in the hotel room, but it couldn't be helped. She was a good puppy, but Sarah felt so badly for the dog because she'd never left her for any period of time before. But it was nice to come home to Bella when she got off her shift, because the dog would get super excited and give Sarah lots of puppy kisses. Of course, Sarah soon figured out why she was hired so quickly. Her boss started to hit on her almost immediately. Sarah had no intention to get involved with him, though, so she quickly shut it down. Which was too bad, because her boss, whose name was Francois, was a charming Frenchman who was more than impressed by Sarah's speaking fluent French, and she could converse about the French countryside and Paris equally well.
"You know the corners of France very well, no?"
Francois asked. "I've been all over that country," Sarah said. "Definitely some of the most beautiful places are along the Alsace wine route, especially Kaisersberg. I love that town's 16th century architecture and the castle ruins. And the history of Dôme and the Dordogne Valley just can't be compared."
"And the fishing villages,"
Francois said excitedly.
"The seafood you can get in the Normandy fishing villages are beyond this world."
Sarah had to agree with that. I love Paris, don't get me wrong, but the French countryside has some of the most picturesque and interesting towns I've ever seen.
"And what brings you to this island?"
Francois asked. Sarah didn't want to be honest with him because if she were, she would admit she was only going to work at Francois's restaurant until she had enough money in the bank to move on. She figured that if she were going to make a living waiting tables, she should probably try to move to an area where the cost of living was lower than on Nantucket. That was what she spent her evenings doing when she wasn't working at the restaurant. She sat on the bed of her hotel room, Bella by her side, looking on her laptop about places she could move and live off a waitressing salary. "It just looked like a beautiful place to live," Sarah said in response to Francois's question about why she chose to move to Nantucket.
It is,"
Francois said enthusiastically.